Can you beat Hollow Knight using the Donkey Konga bongos? That is the question I am setting out to answer today. As far as I'm aware, nobody in recorded history has completed Hollow Knight with the Donkey Kong bongos. And there's probably good reason for that. 1. It's a really dumb idea. 2. Hollow Knight requires precision platforming. 3. See all of above. Look, I know it sounds ridiculous, but I think it can be done. Despite the bongos' limited inputs, of which one pair only has 5, this is basically what I'm working with here. 2 pairs of bongos, with each button mapped to a different move. So let's go. Let's bongo. So my quest began like any other. Our horned protagonist plummeting into a dimly lit, unknown valley. The King's Pass. Here we go, everybody. It took me a few moments to get used to the setup. I hadn't used this controller since 2003, and it certainly wasn't for a game anything like this. But once I had dispatched of a handful of crawlids and vengeflies, I was feeling acquainted with my burdensome bongos. After a bit of perilous pogoing, I made it out of the King's Pass and into Dirtmouth. No time to stop and chat with the locals, as I had some crossroads, long forgotten, to explore. As I ventured deeper, the world was all coming flooding back to me, and I was so happy to once again be playing one of my favorite games. My first real challenge awaited in an abandoned storeroom. The False Knight. Large in stature, true, but a cowardice thief hiding in a true warrior's armor. After a flurry of slaps to the maggot's chops, I had the False Knight exactly where I wanted him.
Hey, get bongoed, fool. First try!
Dead.
Let's go!
With the Knight's Crest in pocket, I ventured onwards to a new area. A beautiful place full of lush vegetation. Green Path. This is where I came across a nimble being not too unlike myself, Hornet, protector of Hallownest's ruins. The chase was on, and after battling through the Pilgrim's Way, I found Hornet standing over the body of a vessel long dead. It was clear she wasn't happy to see me, so our needles clashed and we fought until we couldn't fight any longer.
Got ya.
Hornet fled, leaving me to grab a new power, the Mothwing Cloak. Looking pretty dashing in my new cloak, I flew to Fungal Wastes, where my next fight would take place. I met with a tribe of militant mantis protecting their village from intruders, of which I was one. With nail in hand and my bongos at my fingertips, I confidently challenged the mantis lords. I dodged and weaved the first mantis's swift strikes and landed enough blows for her to concede without taking a single hit. The next phase began, this time with 2 of the lithe lords leading with lances. It soon became apparent that the little knight was not ready for this challenge, and they soon tossed me out like yesterday's garbage. Not a fight I could win right now. With defeat weighing on my shoulders, I made my way to the enormous cavern that is the City of Tears, a place where rain could never possibly touch, yet somehow it pours constantly. Very curious. Holed away down there, I found an elderly bug who strengthened my nail with finesse, with the promise of further refinement if I brought him some rare ores. With my blade bolstered, I set my sights to the Soul Sanctum, where I would eventually find the Soul Master, a tyrant at the top of the tower. I smacked him about enough to cause him to explode, relinquishing his hidden power. However, before I could fully absorb the ability, the knight returned for one last slam. But I kept my cool, I dodged, I smacked, and the Soul Master was no more.
Suck it. Get bongoed!
The desolate dive ability was mine for the taking, thank you very much. The next stop of my adventure was the glittering mines known as Crystal Peak. I quickly crossed the quarry to meet with the Crystal Guardian. Calling this guy a pushover would be an understatement.
Got him.
We would meet again later though, I'm sure. After a quick bench break, I grabbed the Crystal Heart, then blasted my way back to the resting grounds. A graveyard of old warriors, the residents made up of lost spirits and dreamers alike. I acquired a curious upgrade here, the Dream Nail, a tool used to collect essence and enter dreams I would, very soon. Because first, I sprinted back to the Fungal Wastes and stepped up to challenge the 3 towering lords of the Mantis Village once again. This time, I felt stronger, more capable, more agile, more bongo-licious. I bested one of them, and then another, and then another.
Got him!
I was the victor, and we had a mutual respect for one another.
The bongos prevailed. The Mantis Lords said, "What now?" And I said, "Bongos."
Next, I left the Mantis' Lord's chamber and entered a truly terrible place. A dark place crawling with some of Hallownest's worst beasts imaginable, the Deepnest.
You're not my buddy.
The first target on my list of horrors was Nosk, a mysterious shapeshifter with an appetite for me. Determined to avoid becoming one of its victims hanging from the ceiling of its lair, I gave the fight my all. Using the determination and dexterity in my wrists, I defeated Nosk.
Holy day, it's done.
I picked up my prize, a piece of pale ore, and made my way to the first dreamer. I took a quick break on a bench before being accosted by a cult of strange, distant villagers. Webbed up and left for food in the beast's den, I freed myself and entered the mind of Hera. Defeating her in the dream broke the first seal of the Temple of the Black Egg. After a brief encounter with No Face, I left the Deepnest, hopefully forever. Next, I made like a Mario brother and plunged myself into some very suspicious sewers, trying to avoid getting some kind of terrible disease, ideally. The royal waterways clearly had not been sanitized for some time, and it showed. I wasn't sure what was decaying more, the pipework or the residents lurking down here. My next opponent would certainly be a contender for Hollow Knight's shittiest boss, Dung Defender, Doma Doma Doma. Not a particularly difficult fight, but if you're not careful, he'll take you to Browntown, if you know what I mean. So, making quick work of poor Ogrim, opened up the passage to Isma's Grove, where I picked up the item needed to swim without getting third-degree burns. I dipped into the monochromatic ancient basin to pick up another important ability, the Monarch Wings. To get them, however, I'd need to defeat someone not too dissimilar to the Little Knight, the Broken Vessel, a shattered corpse reanimated by the infected parasites living down here. The vibrant orange contrasting against the drab world around us made for a strangely beautiful fight.
Got ya.
And so making quick work of the Broken Vessel led me to the Wings.
Finally!
I flew out of the basin and over to the Fluke Farm, hidden away in the stinky sewage system, an insatiable breeder populating the waterways with disgusting fluke phase. Not a difficult fight nor a mandatory one, but defeating the pulsating sack rewarded me with a charm. Nice. The next stop on my journey was the desolate cliffs known as the Kingdom's Edge, an ashen place grave of worm as described by an old wise caterpillar. I traversed the land avoiding the falling bodies of the fools from above. Eventually, after braving the constant white ashfall, I reached a familiar face, Hornet. This fight was tricky. I'm not sure why I struggled so much, but I did. It was just death after death after death. I just could not match her speed and ferocity with the needle. Although, just like anything in this world, if you swing your nail at it enough times,
got ya,
you'll crack it. And crack it I did. Hornet was beat for a second, and hopefully, last time. I grabbed the King's Brand, the key I needed to enter the Abyss. The Abyss doesn't sound like a place you really want to go, so I made my visit a quick one. A real quick one. It's described as a place where the air grows stiller and a sense of emptiness pervades. So, like being in a conversation with me. I obtained the Shade Cloak and scurried out of there. I passed through the misty bubbling caverns known as Fog Canyon. I'd return later for the Dreamer, for I had my sights set on one particular boss, lurking high up within the luscious Queen's Gardens. I met with my toughest adversary to date, the Traitor Lord, an outcast of the Mantis village. Why was he so tough? Well, for one, he did not fight as honorably as his sisters, and ended up giving me a lot of trouble. I don't know how many times he killed me, but my wrists could not take the endless defeats. So I did the right thing and I stepped away, vowing to come back and finish the fight when I'd grown stronger. In order to become a more worthy opponent, I'd need to refine my nail further. So I ascended the Crystal Peak once more, conquered the Crystal Guardian along the way, easy clap, and I made it to the summit where my reward was a piece of pale ore. Then, far off at the edge of the kingdom, I braved not just one, but two rigorous rounds of the Colosseum of Fools.
The crowd go wild!
Successfully honoring me another piece of pale ore and the title of Ultimate Fool. Hey, I'll take it. If no one else is taking it, I'll take it. The Grub Father awarded me with another piece for rescuing its children, and the Seer presented me with another for collecting enough essence. So, 2 more nail upgrades later, and I found myself doing battle with 6...
fuck it.
Well, 5 silent warriors, the discarded shells of the Watcher Knights, reanimated by a swarm of infected flies. After such a devastating beating from the Traitor Lord, I was no longer messing around. I easily dispatched of the Rotund warriors and entered the mind of Lurian the Watcher, claiming another Dreamer.
2 down.
Whilst I was in the area, I ascended the Tower of Love and clashed with the Collector, a twisted, dark figure known for preserving Hollow Nest's creatures within glass jars. Slaying the mysterious beast with relative ease, my work here was done. Lovely. The third and final Dreamer was accessed via the Teacher's Archives in Fog Canyon. With a little bit of help from my friend Quirrell, Umu took an embarrassingly little amount of effort to kill. And so I entered the dream of Monomon the Teacher, killing them, absorbing its essence, and breaking the final seal.
You know what that means, guys.
Without a moment of hesitation, I rushed back to the Queen's Gardens to finish what I started with the Traitor Lord. This time, the disgraced mantis posed very little threat and was almost too easy. I don't know if it was my newly honed weapon or the fire in my bongo bashing wrists, but with Cloth by my side,
You bastard.
we finished him off. Rest in peace, Cloth. By this point, it became apparent to me that my any % run was actually turning into, okay, that's cool, but can you do this with the bongos? And so I was drawn to more and more challenging things in the game. One of the most difficult challenges being within the bedrock of the kingdom, the White Palace. However, to access this area, I needed a lot more essence, so I went on a ghost busting spree. Gorb, Marmu, No Eyes, Zero, all defeated their essence, but I needed more. Failed Champion crushed, Lost Kin killed, Soul Tyrant trounced. I was a ghost-busting machine, my god. Next stop, Carpal Tunnel Palace. I entered the elegant halls of the White Palace and quickly made my way to the first platforming challenge. Jumping and dashing through the dangerous array of buzzsaws was no simple feat. Keep in mind, I did not have the necessary charms to make this area any easier for myself. Each section more difficult than the last, so I had to really focus here. During all of this, I had a chance to reflect on just how far the little knight had come, everything he had braved to reach this point. The end was not far off at all now, so I bounced and pogoed my way through the treacherous traps to face the one challenge of all challenges, the path of you know what, actually, maybe another time. I'm not really feeling it today. So I soared to the top of the White Palace and completed the mission. With 0 deaths as well, may I add. And I found the final piece of the puzzle to award me with a true ending, provided I wanted to fight Radiance, which I did not. I was only obligated to beat the Hollow Knight to be satisfied with the challenge that I'd set myself. So that was the plan. And so it was time. I dragged myself back to the now infected crossroads and unlocked the Temple of the Black Egg, where my final test awaited. Bound by chains, sealed away by the power of the Dreamers, was the titular Hollow Knight, a fully grown vessel carrying the plague's heart within its body. This was it. The final boss. The battle erupted, and it seemed that we were completely evenly matched, wearing each other down blow after exhausting blow, slashes, lunges, parries. But I would not let victory slip away so easily. I kept my cool and sharply dashed through the Hollow Knight whenever the opportunity presented itself. However, as the fight raged on, I could sense deep anguish within the vessel, tarnished by an idea instilled. It could no longer handle the agony of containing the infection and resorted to ripping itself apart. And just as we think it's all about to end, Hornet fulfills her promise and breaks open the Hollow Knight's shell with her needle. Only a few slashes of my trusty nail stood before me and ending this nightmare once and for all. Except I lied.
We are doing Radiance.
I readied the Dream Nail and entered the vessel to face the heart of the infection. This was not part of the plan, except now it was. I was underprepared and overconfident, but I had to do this. This was it. A higher being of light, the plague, the infection, the madness that haunts the corpses of Hollownest. The light that screams out from the eyes of this dead kingdom. With the Radiance doing double mask damage, every dodge had to be timed carefully. Every attack had to be executed so perfectly. What was already a demanding fight made more strenuous by the fact that I was using Donkey Konga Bongos. And despite the limitations at my fingertips, the raining swords, the walls of light, the bursts of beams, everything the Radiance had to throw at me was not going to stop me from wearing her down, ascending the heavens, and sealing the Radiance away once and for all, taking the place of the Hollow Knight within the Black Egg. And would you believe, the struggle ended in the most fitting way possible. A big bongo bonanza.
Bongo! Get bongoed!
And so, after a long, arduous adventure, my wrists could take no more. However, I could finally say that I had successfully beaten Hollow Knight using the Donkey Konga Bongos, Radiance and all, and it felt absolutely amazing.